October 1992, Shirley in Croydon. An 89-year-old woman is sleeping in the home where she lives alone. She is suddenly awoken by a man in all black and a balaclava, shining a light in her face. The man brutally assails her twice and burgles her home. This crime would unfortunately not be a one-off incident, instead the catalyst for a 17-year-long inquiry. The Night Stalker's spree had begun. September 1998, Wallington, Surrey. An 81-year-old woman suffers an attempted SA, indecent assault and burglary. Operation Midland is set up in 1998 to investigate the crimes. Police uncovered DNA evidence from the 1998 crime that matched DNA from 1992. Semen. The perpetrator did not wear a condom, meaning witness testimonies identifying a male attacker were correct. While 2,000 samples were collected, none were a match and no link was found on the DNA National Database. This means that he was not a previously apprehended offender, at least he hadn't been apprehended as of 1995 when the database was established. This widened the search even more. June 1999. A 71-year-old woman is burgled in Beckham, Kent. July 1999, Orpington, Kent. A 77-year-old woman's home is the site of an attempted burglary. 3 more offences occur in this month alone. An 83-year-old man is indecently assaulted and burgled in Colston, Surrey. An 82-year-old woman is indecently assaulted and burgled in Croydon, Surrey. An 82-year-old woman is essayed and burgled also in Croydon, Surrey. 2 further cases occur in August 1999. One 88-year-old woman is indecently assaulted and burgled in an undisclosed location, and another 88-year-old woman is essayed, indecently assaulted, and burgled in Orpington, Kent. The latter woman stated, "He covered my face and mouth and I felt that I was being smothered. I could not breathe or see. He whispered, 'Don't scream. I won't hurt you.' He was really brutal. I just wanted him to stop. The pain was awful." She suffered from osteoarthritis, had cuts to her lips, and had serious injuries to her waist and hips, which required major surgery. She also had a near-fatal perforated bowel. In 2001, Detective Superintendent Simon Morgan took charge of Operation Minstead. There were already 73 cases linked to the Night Stalker. Morgan noticed several key aspects from previous case notes. The flattening of the grass outside the house indicated that the perpetrator was prepared to wait for hours outside, making sure their target had gone to bed. They would enter carefully, sometimes removing a window hole to gain entry, and removed any ornaments in the way to avoid noise. He would cut phone wires or hide mobile phones to limit communication the target could possibly have, and unscrewed all the light bulbs in the house so they couldn't turn the light on and see him. He would also disable panic alarms. His way of attack was to shine a bright torch in their face and demand adult activity. But it has been seen the way he moves and lifts victims indicates he has worked with the elderly at some point. As his nickname suggests, he only works at night. What was interesting to many officers is that the scene was clean and tidy. It had been tidied by the perpetrator. Perhaps he had some form of obsessive-compulsive disorder, because who else cleans up the house after the crime scene? He had already left DNA evidence, but that was not his focus of the cleanup. Advanced DNA techniques did manage to ascertain an ethnic origin, Afro-Caribbean, but this meant 21,000 individuals could be identified as suspects, making the case even more complicated. 3 years later, in October 2002, a 77-year-old woman is indecently assaulted and burgled in Croydon, Surrey, followed by another case in March 2003, wherein a 78-year-old woman is burgled in West Dulwich, London. September 2004, an 84-year-old woman is also burgled, but in Bromley, Kent. 12 years into the case and the police are still without a lead. No DNA matches and no witnesses aside from the targets. Using the knowledge that the perpetrator was Afro-Caribbean, officers hand-delivered requests to black men to provide DNA samples for elimination purposes. Police explained that they were desperate to reduce the number of suspects and pledged to destroy samples when confirmed not to be a match. While the majority obliged, eager to assist the authorities and catch the Night Stalker, it wasn't without controversy. 125 initially refused, alleging discrimination, but were pressured after police explained their behaviour could be construed as suspicious. 5 objectors were arrested but later released. They were able to narrow down the list from 21,000 to 1,000, but could only obtain certain individuals' DNA on the list if and when they committed an offence. In 2009, after 6 years of inactivity, the Night Stalker resumed his crimes. In May, a 62-year-old man is burgled in Bromley, Kent. In June, an 82-year-old is burgled in South Croydon. In August, an 88-year-old man is indecently assaulted and burgled in Thornton Heath, Surrey. The Night Stalker struck twice in October. An 87-year-old woman is burgled in Forest Hill, London, and an 82-year-old woman is burgled in Croydon. In November, an attempted burglary occurs in the home of an 86-year-old woman in Croydon. However, November 15, 2009, the Night Stalker's luck ran out. DCI Colin Sutton had set up a burglary squad in a street in Croydon as this was the area the perpetrator was frequenting. Sutton requested 150 officers but was only able to receive 70. Night 1, the 2nd of November, the Night Stalker strikes 3 times, but just outside the surveillance of the squad. A fortunate piece of evidence from the area does, however, present itself. CCTV shows a man entering a car, later identified as a silver Vauxhall Zafira. 17 days later, November 15th, a squad member notices a similar car. An hour later, a man is seen running to the same car and police make the move. Around 2 a.m., after 17 years of waiting, the Night Stalker is finally caught. Delroy Easton Grant, born 1957 in Jamaica. His mother walked out when he was 2 years old, leaving him in the care of his grandparents. Grant's father decided to move to the UK, and aged 15, Grant followed. This is where his crimes began. First known for petty theft, then moving into burglary and spending 2 years in jail for armed robbery. In 1975, he met his first wife, Janet. They are engaged within just 2 weeks, but things turn ugly after they marry. Grant has an obsession with tidiness and control. If anything is out of place or not cleaned thoroughly, she is beaten. They have 2 children together, but after 5 years, Janet leaves. He moves to Leicestershire where he meets a new girlfriend and they have 2 children. However, in 1991, he is sentenced to prison for handling stolen goods. Shortly after, the relationship ends. Grant moves back to South East London where he meets a second wife, Jennifer, a devout Jehovah's Witness with 2 daughters from a previous marriage. They move to Brockley, South East London, and have 2 boys, who they raise alongside her girls. Jennifer later develops MS, and Grant becomes her main carer, having worked as a care home assistant at some point. By day he cares for Jennifer, by night he drives taxis. The community view him as a loving, compassionate man who always smiled and attended church regularly. 3rd of March 2011, Grant appears at Woolwich Crown Court, facing 29 charges ranging from SA, indecent assault and burglaries from 1991 to 2009. He is believed to have committed up to 600 attacks on victims aged 68 to 93, including 10 men. Astonishingly, Grant pled not guilty despite his DNA being all over the crime scenes. He even tried to use his ill-informed knowledge of DNA and forensics to attempt to explain they have the wrong man, instead suggesting they investigate his eldest son from his marriage to Janet, hoping they share enough of the DNA to implicate him instead. The jury is informed that Grant's DNA is without a doubt a 100% match. When his ex Janet took the stand, he outrageously claimed that she stole and preserved some of his semen and saliva in 1977 and asked a doctor friend to store it in the hospital to frame him. In the 1970s, the technique to retrieve semen and saliva hadn't been invented yet. Grant would even remark, "I don't know why you're bothering, I always wear gloves," while his fingerprints were being taken. The jury were told that a crowbar and a change of clothes had been found in Grant's car. 24th of March 2011, Grant was found guilty on all 29 charges. Judge Peter Rook sentenced him to 27 years plus 4 life sentences. He told Grant, "I have no doubt that you are a very evil man capable of committing heinous crimes." The victims were incomprehensibly traumatized. Cynthia Stevens, 93, lost the will to live after being attacked in South London in 2009. She died 3 months later after she stopped eating. Others downplayed their experiences, another reporting she didn't want to call the police as she knew they were busy. And this is why Grant was despicable. He preyed on a very specific vulnerable group. Vulnerable because many had dementia and Alzheimer's, and also vulnerable because they come from a wartime background where you only call the authorities if absolutely life-threateningly necessary. Many of these people didn't want to bother the police, they felt like they were being a burden, and they didn't want to go to hospital unless it was serious. Grant oddly had moments of twisted tenderness in the midst of his sadism, kissing some on the cheek and bidding them good night after the assault. Once he apologized to a target after taking her pulse. "I'm really sorry, I won't do this again." Sometimes he'd been shamed into leaving without committing an assault if his intended target chastised him, one causing him to apologize after demanding, "What would your mother think of you?" Yet Delroy Grant was a vicious serial offender who meticulously planned his premeditated crimes and was prepared to throw his own son in the firing line to avoid punishment. He will be eligible for parole in 2038, and I hope he is denied at every single turn.